Hi, I'm João Gomes, also known as DJ, and in this video I'm going to explain about upgrade projects comparing the current Oracle methodology called OUM, Oracle Unified Method, with the previous and retired one called EMM, Easjpath Migration Methodology. I'm going to compare process, task, deliverables, and phases. If you have any question, just contact me and I'll be glad to help. Thank you. Before we start the comparison between OUM and the previous retired methodology for upgrade projects called EMM, let's first understand the main difference between an upgrade and an implementation project. The first and biggest difference has to do with human factor. In an implementation, users tend to have much higher expectation towards the new system because they have never used Oracle EBS in their daily routine. They are replacing their current ERP, which they are used to, in order to move to Oracle. In an upgrade, users already know Oracle, its navigability strengths and weaknesses. Even though they may request and expect some new features, resistance tends to be much lower. That's why implementation projects usually requires more change management approach than upgrade projects. Second difference has to do with focus. Since users already use another ERP in an implementation, we must map the gaps between what the customer wants and what EBS does. That's why the main focus is on adherence between internal process and EBS. But in an upgrade project, we will probably not have as many gaps, and the focus is on data and on the existing solution. Which brings us to a third difference. Since we tend to have much more gaps in an implementation project, we will have custom development, unlike upgrade projects where we mostly need to upgrade the existing custom elements from the previous version to the new version. Fourth difference. Implementation projects require just one fresh install during the project. In an upgrade project, though, you have several upgrade simulations because that's what an upgrade project is all about. Next difference. In an implementation, you need less storage space than in an upgrade project, because in an upgrade, we migrate all historical data at every upgrade simulation. Besides, we need a large area for rollback table space. Sixth difference. In an implementation, system downtime during go-live tends to be much lower than in an upgrade project. This is so because transition to production in an implementation project is a milestone, since most setups and some data conversion could start prior to go live, especially static data. However, in an upgrade project, transition to production is a task that may last for days. Bear in mind that you upgrade the entire instance at once, meaning all setups, data, custom menus and responsibility, as well as custom objects. And final difference. In an implementation, data conversion requires custom programs or data loaders that need to be developed. Sometimes we may insert the data manually depending on the volume. But in an upgrade project, data conversion happens primarily through Oracle Core Utility programs. Now, some of the main challenges we have in an upgrade project. First challenge is related to customization. They must be appreciated in order to understand whether they need to be migrated or replaced by new core functionalities. That's why governance for any given company impacts so much in an upgrade project. If you are not aware of what custom objects add up to what custom features and functionalities, you will not succeed in evaluating this. To make things worse, you may have garbage objects that have no use whatsoever. One of the tips in LeApp's method is to have process and templates that allows a recommended governance for your maintenance. That's a value you appreciate in an upgrade project. Second challenge is related to documentation, which must be updated in an upgrade project. The documents you use during your implementation are heavy sometimes, time-consuming, and hard to read. If those things happen, chances are that no one will use them during your system maintenance. and the odds of not updating them will be high. Another good asset in OUM Apps method is to have lean, useful, and well-formatted templates that will add value and not just bureaucracy for your system maintenance. Third challenge has to do with custom menus. Request groups and form names may change in the new version, and that's why you need to update all your custom menus, submenus, and responsibilities that were created for your company. Since large companies tend to have tons of custom responsibility and custom menus, mapping and updating them are tasks that can be very time-consuming. Fourth challenge has to do with the transition itself, the transactions. Because during an upgrade, no interface or temporary table may be filled. We must complete all transactions, like approving all POs and post all transactions from GL interface during the pre-upgrade steps. Periods must also be closed during the upgrade steps, which means that you need to plan carefully your go-live date. Another challenge is related to data integrity. Saying that upgrade focuses mainly on data and on the existing solution means that any database inconsistency will be felt during upgrade simulation. Even though Oracle does not recommend to update data straight in the final tables, it's not that uncommon to see clients doing that in production to fix any error. Remember, there is a reason why Oracle suggests to use APIs or open interface to integrate data between modules or to load them from other systems. Another challenge has to do with setups. As I have mentioned, pre-upgrade and post-upgrade steps are basically setup updates. Some upgrade projects also include new modules, features, and functionalities in the project that will add extra setup to be done in the post-upgrade steps. Final challenge is related to user training. Even though it's still the same ERP, navigation as well as features and system behavior may change from one version to another. So don't neglect your training, or else you may face several problems after go live. Now we're going to see the main phases within EMM, Easjpath migration methodology. First is migration assessment, and the goal of migration assessment is to analyze the impact of the application release changes. Here we evaluate new business requirements and custom update needs. Second is updating test phase, and the goal of such phase is to update all components of the system and thoroughly test the migrated business solution. That's where all upgrade simulations, customization updates, and tests happens. Third phase in an upgrade project according to EMM methodology is transition, which goal is to create a fully configured and migrated production environment ready to be used by all users. In other words, that's where we upgrade production. And final and last phase is the production, which starts immediately after go-live phase, and its main purpose is to stabilize the environment by promptly fixing any possible problems that may arise, or by addressing user questions on new version navigability. New feature requests and enhancements may start in this phase, and they must be prioritized and planned for future release or future projects. So, those 5 phases that happen during an upgrade according to the EMM methodology also have some process, which are: first one is business requirements review. The objective of this process is to understand the basic business requirements that the installed application must satisfy and determine how those requirements are affected by changes in the new Oracle application release. Second process is business mapping update, which assesses the change between the current and the new application release. It basically maps the change to the business in terms of core application configuration. Third process is Migrate Application and Technical Architecture, which identifies the change to the existing information system architecture as a result of the migration to a new application release. It also redesigns the overall information system architecture to reflect the new underlying package application architecture. Fourth process is Migrate Custom Extension. This process will update current customizations so that they work properly with the new application release. One of this process goals is to eliminate old customizations that could be replaced by new standard Oracle functionalities or that are not required anymore. Fifth process is data migration, which goal is to move and test all required data from the current application instance to be operational after go live. Even though we mainly use Oracle Core Utility programs to convert all data, users still need to validate them along the tests. Next process is documentation. This process updates existing documentation created during the application implementation project and maintained during production. Another reason why IT governance is vital. Next process is business system testing, and the goal here is to develop an integrated approach to testing the quality of all elements of the application system in the pre-upgrade, technical upgrade, and post-upgrade steps. This is the most time-consuming process in an upgrade project. Next process within EMM is training. The training process prepares both users and administrators to assume the tasks of running the new version of Oracle EBS. And finally, production migration. The goal here is to migrate the organization system people to the new release of other application, Oracle application. Now let's check how EMM and OUM phase relate among themselves. In OUM, we have both inception and elaboration phase, where definition and analysis is performed. In those phases, we gather information, understand the map, the requirements, perform impact analysis, prepare environments, and prepare upgrade process among other tasks. Those two phases are equivalent to assessment phase at EMM, where we define objectives, architecture, and final solution. Next, we have construction phase at OUM, where we build and test a future solution that will go live. It is equivalent to EMM's phase update and test, where we validate the upgraded solution. Fourth phase at OUM is transition, where we train users and have them validate the final solution prior to go live. After executing the cutover plan, new version goes live, which still happens in transition. For EMM, we have exactly the same phase name, which has the same purpose, to upgrade the new EBS version to production. And finally, we have production phase at OUM, where we stabilize the system and address user requests for problem fixing and navigability questions. For EMM, the fourth and final phase has precisely the same name with the same goals and objectives, which is to stabilize the environment and get project acceptance. Now in this slide, I will present some valuable Oracle tools that could help you assess change between versions for Oracle Core objects, regardless they are database objects, apps objects, or files. First one is the Data Model Comparison Report, used to evaluate change of database objects between two versions. It contains filters to query by object type, such as tables, views, packages, and etc. Second is the Seed Difference Report, used to evaluate change of apps objects between two versions, such as profile, value sets, flex fields, etc. And third utility is the File Comparison Report, used to evaluate change of files between two versions, such as Java classes, forms, and reports. If you need further information about those tools, just look for doc ID 1290886.1 at Oracle MetaLink website. Those tools may be well used for developers when upgrading custom objects from Oracle EBS previous version to new release. But you still need to evaluate what custom objects may be laid off due to new features and functionalities that came up in the new version. You also need to figure out what custom objects relate to which customizations. For instance, you may have a huge customized feature that includes packages, triggers, forms, and workflows. And if this customization is decided to be laid off, you must be able to relate it to the custom objects that address that customization. Now in this slide, I list some of the main deliverables required for upgrade projects in both OUM and the previous EMM method and how they relate to each other. A few templates changed, some for worse and some for better in my opinion. And according to my experience, not all of those documents are done in all upgrade projects because some may not be required depending on your project context. I'm not going to go through all tasks, but you can always stop the video at this point to write it down if you may. And I suggest you to do it because not many consulting managers know about all those templates, and only a few might know how those templates relate to each other according to both methodologies, OUM and EMM. We finally reached the last slide, and I hope it was useful. As you could see, even though the idea behind an upgrade project is the same in both EMM and OUM methods, the templates, process, and phase names changed. EMM methodology was meant precisely for upgrade projects, even though some deliverables show themselves to be a bit useless in most of the upgrade projects I have managed. I usually picked whatever made sense for each project. But for OUM, Oracle Unified Method, things are much more confusing and therefore heavier and harder to use. This happened because OUM is not only meant for upgrade projects, it's meant for every type of project lifecycle, plus the project management and the organizational change management as well. It has over 300 different tasks and deliverables. Around 86 tasks repeat themselves throughout the phase. We have tasks using up to 4 templates and others with no template at all. Templates being used in several tasks, using all types of notation such as use case, user stories, flowcharts, behavior diagrams, classes diagrams, sequence diagrams, and others. That's why some templates seem redundant among themselves. You need to choose amongst this ocean of templates which ones to use in your particular project. Not to mention that a wide variety of templates are not well formatted in my opinion, which makes the work of filling them up a challenging task. I believe we need to make our projects as lean as possible. Documents are not the end for a project. They are only means to reach an end, and they must be used as long as they remain useful. In other words, we need to keep as simple as possible but not simpler, and yet smart. Find out more about LeanApp's methodology created specifically for Oracle EBS projects, regardless they are upgrades, implementations, or rollouts. I will point to not only well-formatted templates, but also interesting techniques to use, especially for organizational change management, and give you valuable tips on how to manage your project. I have some templates you may download under the paid section of this website. A few are free, but since a method is not only about templates, it would be very hard to show it all in this website. I suggest you to contact me, and I'll be glad to assist you with your project. We finally finished our presentation. If it was of any value to you, please help me by joining our page at Facebook at Lean Apps Method. You may contact me directly for any question you may have at djgomes@leanappsmethod.com or through the direct phone. 55 as the country code, 11 is the area code, and phone number is 98394-4133. Contact me and I'll be glad to help you out. Thanks for watching.